Hello. I hope that wherever you are, you're feeling a little bit cooler than we are here. It's quite warm. If I melt in the middle of this, please forgive. There are circumstances beyond our control sometimes, and the weather is one of them. I'm bringing to you a pile of possibilities. In fact, several piles of possibilities. In fact, my living room looks like an entire mess of piles and piles and piles of books for reading for Framed in September. And I've chosen, for example, some books to cover things like where do you start? Are books not expensive? I don't know anything about artists, or maybe somebody who feels if you've got an artist you do like but you're not quite sure how to take that further, or you think I'd like to get an overall view of art history. I'm going to do a big deep dive this month. Or even I just don't understand modern art, or maybe somebody who's thinking I do want to go to an art gallery, but I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to look at the art. Or you're an artist, or you think you're starting out to be one, and you think, what do I do next? Or maybe you just simply say, I want a book without pictures. I want something light and small that I can slip into my bag for my summer holiday. Or maybe you think cinema would be something I'd like to get into, but where do I start? Or finally, you might just think, I need something lighthearted. This is all very serious and overwhelming, and I've got some books for that as well. Okay, so as I say, I'm going to give you some key books for some questions or possible solutions to questions you may have, and then I'm going to take you on a wild safari through my art books on the shelves. And it's looking at shelves and my hand coming in and grabbing them. It's all a bit mad, but this bit might be a little bit calmer, hopefully. So, first of all, for people who are thinking about where do you start and is it horribly expensive to buy art books, well, try borrowing from your local library. Just go down there, see what they've got in their art section. You could be pleasantly surprised. And do ask the staff where the oversized books are, because there may well be separate books shelves in another place because of the height. They just need a taller shelf. Worth trying out. Sometimes that's where the big exciting books are. So borrowing from a local library helps get you past the expense. But do take a sturdy book bag, because I borrowed library books recently that were art, and they were heavy and they were large and they were fabulous, but the weight was something else, so go prepared for that. Second situation I thought about was somebody who says, I just don't know anything about artists. I haven't had to think about it. Don't know where to begin. So I've got some very unintimidating little books to help us with that. First of all, a little book, just art pictures. One on each page, different artists. Just flick through. See if you can find someone you like. And then that becomes the artist that you think a bit more about. But simply getting a book like this, which you should be able to find in any charity shop, and flicking through it from time to time, giving it a little bit of attention, it's research, but in the most fun way. The other thing is, I came across a little series called Crash Course, and I have design here and modern art. There's also a really good one on photography if you get a chance and to buy them. I bought them for the mighty sum of 99 pence each. Definitely something older, so you would be looking probably for second-hand bookshops. But so good, because the layout of the page is kind of funny, funky little story of what else is happening in the world at the time, and a proper synopsis, little description of what's the main thing going on, and it's well enough illustrated. You get these little boxes to say, here's something in particular to pay attention for or look out for. And again, like this art book that I showed you at the start, they're just something to quickly flick through, find out a little bit this day and a little bit more the next day, and it all joins up together. So I hope that feels like a really doable thing, especially in August as we get ready for September and Framed in September, just to dip and dive. Now, if you're in the happy position of having an artist you already like, well, you can treat yourself, this might be an excuse, to a book on just that one artist. So for me, this is Anne Redpath. I bought this book a few years ago, but I just love her work so much, and she's not so much well known in some ways. She was kicking about at the same time as the Scottish colourists. So it's really good to have a book especially on that one artist I really like. Excuse me. The other thing is, maybe, and this is more in line for people who are booktubers, is to read a really big, juicy biography on that artist that you like. So, for example, for me, I have Matisse, and there was a superb biography done recently by Hilary Sperling, which won Whitbread Book of the Year, 2005. And there's actually 2 volumes, look at the size of it. And it's fairly well illustrated as well, with photographs. But the research in it is stunning and astonishing. And the references at the back go on forever. And it's a life that had somehow got passed by. And she got down to it and really did a huge definitive guide, but so readable, because she has at the subject someone who is in the 20th century, fascinating life, and yeah, she righted some things that were not known about him or thought that were wrong. She clearly investigated it, so well worth reading and so well written, a well written biography. The other thing is maybe you think about your artist you know about in relation to another one. So I have this book, Matisse, Picasso, the story of their rivalry and friendship. And I wouldn't be without it. It's fabulous. It looks at their works together, how they influenced each other. And it was partly a friendship. At times it was almost a grudging acknowledgement that the other person was on their same level of expertise. Very interesting. So that's expanding your knowledge of art with another artist alongside the one you do know about. If you're in the position that you think, actually, this is the time I'm going to start and get an idea of art history. I'm going to do a wide research of it all. I've got a couple of books to recommend for you. I've been using them myself. This one is called Art, the Whole Story, which is quite a claim. But it's by Thames and Hudson, who are a well-known publisher of art books, and it's got very well illustrated pages, shiny throughout, which take you through what the different isms and so on are. So it's high on illustration, and then slightly less high on illustration but fabulous in content is E.H. Gombrich, The Story of Art. Now, I resisted this for a long time because it felt to me like it would be a school text. It would be serious and somber, and actually it's so well written and read. The person who's written it knows so much. And to be honest, older art doesn't really interest me so much, but he interested me and made it interesting and connected it, so that he starts each chapter talking about the architecture and what's going on at the time, and it all seems to make sense. And it was actually written originally for teenagers, so it's not going to be impossible to understand. Totally recommend. And you will get it anywhere. It's been a major text for so long, you will easily find it in a second-hand bookshop, I would think. Now, what about the case if you say, I don't understand modern art? I have got someone for you. Nancy Heller, and its title is reassuringly fun. Why a Painting is Like a Pizza, a Guide to Understanding and Enjoying Modern Art. Nancy Heller. So it tackles things like my 5-year-old could do that. And what about if a painting is just white on white? Or what about if an artwork is just stripes? Is it an artwork? Why is it special? And that's the kind of questions a lot of us come along with. Love it. She takes you through that. It's very understandable, well illustrated, and it just opens your eyes to new ways of looking at things. It's great. Totally recommend it. If you like to be taken through the history of art and you're interested in contemporary art sort of from 1900s onwards, and you kind of like someone who's a bit vinegary and a bit of a strong opinion person, then I must recommend to you The Shock of the New by Robert Hughes. There's actually a new revised edition out now. This went along with a television series, a groundbreaking one, in which he stood in front of the camera and explained all sorts of things about modern art. So again, easy to find. This is the updated and enlarged edition. I got it in a charity shop for £4.99. But it's got so much knowledge in it and it's well illustrated. Okay, what about if you want to go into an art gallery but you feel, I don't know how to look at art? And this book is called Seeing Slowly, Looking at Modern Art. It's by Michael Findlay. And it's relaxing even just to sit and read it. I have highlighted and scribbled notes because it's the kind of book you interact with. And it helps you to be in a kind of calm, meditative way of looking at things and not feeling under pressure to understand the art or anything deep, but to start looking, taking the time and enjoying the process. So I think that's a very good one to have. Now, maybe you're watching this and saying, well, I'm an artist and I think I am, and I'm near the start. Is there any books you could recommend to help? And yes, I've got a couple here. They're quite different, but both very good. First one is The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron, which you've probably heard of or been told about. It's basically a workbook that takes you through some weeks of getting into a practice of being creative. And one of the first things everybody I think knows about is morning pages, where you sit down and write 3 pages of just stream of consciousness. But there are other things that are to do with things like an artist date, where you're just making sure you're constantly getting enough things that make you think and stimulate your thinking and give you ideas, so that you're not always just making art, but you're getting new ideas in. And the other thing is the practical side, and Jerry Saltz has made a little book called How to Be an Artist. And again, we're back to the kind of call a spade kind of person, like Robert Hughes in a way. And he's got very practical things. It's very small, quick to read. Every page, other page is a picture along with one thought for what to do. Like get some perspective, an exercise he'll give, know what you hate, finish it, all art is subjective, see as much as you can, and so on. Okay, so very readable, like having a good friend cheering you on. Now, what about if you're saying, I want a book without pictures, I want something small and light that I can pack for a holiday or the weekend? Here's something quite intriguing. It's called The Accidental Masterpiece on the Art of Life and Vice Versa by Michael Kimmelman. And it's full of little incidences and accidents and occasionals where it happens to be that something is made and it becomes a well-known masterpiece. Or, for example, the story of the artist who was catching a bus and saw a young woman in the street and just thought, I want her to be my model, my muse, and went and spoke to her, and she did become that. And it was a chance meeting in a crowd. So lots of little human stories in that. And it's just good. Now, what about cinema? What about if you're thinking, I would like to look at the art of cinema, but I don't quite know where to start? Well, there's a little book I've got here called 30-Second Cinema. And it goes through all the, as it says, the 50 most important ideas, genres and people in the history of movies, each explained in half a minute. 30-Second Cinema. It's by Pamela Hutchinson. So I recommend that to you as a quick way to get into knowing the basics of film and cinema. That's a fun thing to do, just to kind of book again to have around the house, dip and dive every now and then. Just for film analysis, if you're in the other extreme and you know quite a bit and you like to have a deep dive, there's a Norton reader in film analysis that I recommend. It takes you and talks you through the major films that are always referred to and what people thought about them, the critique was about them. And it's like you could make it like a little film education course if you want to. Finally, sorry, a little bit of humour. Spike Milligan, the essential Spike Milligan. As you can see, he has funny drawings as well as doing scripts, as well as doing poems for children and different things. So you've got that lovely mix of humour and pictures, visual, and then also the written arts as well. And also Monty Python, of course, because they had animation in their television series, and then they went on to make films, and a lot of the films were adaptations of classic tales or genres. So there's plenty to play with there and be amused by. You could do a deep dive into Monty Python for a whole month. Wouldn't that be fun? Come back and tell me about it. Anyway, I'm going to sign off here and give you video of me rooting about my shelves and pulling out books which might be of interest. If you want to know more about them, put a wee note in the comments below, because I started to flick through them and then I realised it was going to take all day if I did that. But if there's a book that catches your eye and a subject and you think I'd like to know more about it, drop a little note in the comments and we'll see what we can do. I hope you have fun reading, and I hope this has been a whole lot of possibilities that are exciting and make you just ready to go. So bye for now. Rather lovely. Another artist. The cartoonist workbook, drawing, writing pages. Designer detail. Trisha Guild. So rich. And of course she runs Designers Guild, who make fabrics and interiors. Paint, I think, as well. Imaging the Word. It's about illustrations for the Bible with poetry and pictures from all over the world, different styles. How to design your home to formulate ideas and spark innovation, by Donald Rather. Just this is from an exhibition I went to from Russia. And just looking at this, I think I need to look at this again for inspiration. Very early 1010, there's no colour in it. Stained Glass, an illustrated history by Sarah Brown. Style that we're probably quite familiar with, but as well, more abstract. Ways of Curating, Hans Ulrich Obrist. Art and the Beauty of God by Richard Harris. I love this one. Pictures and Tears, James Elkins. Why do people respond emotionally to paintings and art? Guide to the Musée d'Orsay in Paris. This is interesting too. Fun is this idea of walking around a city and what are you seeing and responding to. Brilliant insight into film and telling a story. Screen adaptation. But adaptation, what happens when it's coming from a book? That's one movie you should see before you die. Robert Hughes, Nothing If Not Critical. Very readable, interesting commentator on art. Reviewing restaurants, another kind of